We are actually standing in front of two Civil War monuments. The first larger monument on the hill is dedicated to all the soldiers and sailors who fought in the Civil War. Primarily it does not say 123rd Regiment. That was the county regiment. But when they put the statue up, they wanted it to include all soldiers and all sailors. That was the point of it. The 123rd was organized in Salem in 1862 when President Lincoln put out a request that we needed more volunteers. So the people would come to Salem to volunteer. The men might have even indicated that they wanted to join up in Hartford at the recruitment station there, but then they had to come to Salem to get their uniforms and to join the camp known as Camp Washington, which was in back of the railroad tracks. The 123rd, probably their best and well-known victorious battle was Gettysburg. They were also at the Battle of Fredericksburg, which was awful. They just got wiped out. But the 123rd was at Gettysburg and does have a wonderful monument dedicated to the 123rd there. In fact, the monument's nose and stylus was just fixed. And Judy, do you want to just say a few words about that?
Yes, this was a year ago. We were in Gettysburg as the stone carver was there recreating Cleo's nose. She was missing half of her nose, and her nose was good size. I mean, she's got a nose like this. So you noticed that she was missing half of it. And also she's depicted taking notes on a pad, and she's writing for history what has happened there at Gettysburg so that we do not forget the importance of that battle. And someone over the years had gotten up on top of the statue and broken off her stylus. So she's writing, but she had no implement in her hand. So the stone carver was able to reproduce both the stylus and her nose. So she's back as one beautiful girl once again, and she's one of the most beautiful monuments in Gettysburg. If you do get down there, you do need to stop and see Cleo.
Right, by the way, the only woman monument in Gettysburg. All the others depict soldiers, in battle or at rest or whatever. The monument directly in back of us is that of General David Allen Russell. An interesting story about David Allen Russell. He went to Salem Washington Academy and then was commissioned to go to West Point, which he did. Graduated in 1850. In 1850, he then went west to fight in the Indian Wars and the Mexican Wars. And it was while he was out west that he met a guy by the name of Phil Sheridan, who was also a graduate of West Point. They became good friends. The Civil War broke out and they decided to fight with the Union. Both of them, as you know, you probably know General Sheridan more than Allen, but Allen was known as a soldier's soldier. He did not fight from the rear. He did not stand on the hill and watch the battle in front of him. He felt that he had to be in the front lines and mixed in with his men. That was his attitude. That was his tact. And he developed his own tactics, especially when he was fighting in the Indian Wars and in the Mexican War. By the end of the war, he was in what's known as the 6th Regiment, and his uncle, Solomon Russell, also from Salem, joined him in the, sorry, misspoke, not the regiment, the 6th Corps, as one of his adjutants. It was at the Battle of Winchester where Philip Sheridan and his cavalry were engaging the enemy. But David Allen Russell was wounded twice during the battles that were taking place. And during the third battle, when Philip Sheridan happened to be away with the cavalry, the lines began to fail. And if you know anything about Civil War battles, you know it's a battle of a bunch of men on one side and a bunch of men on the other side shooting at each other, and when they thought it was appropriate, they would attack and try to overrun the enemy's lines. And on this day, the United States soldiers were getting clobbered. But David Allen Russell took it upon himself to get on his horse and to go out in the front of the troops and urge them back into battle. And they did follow him. But in the process, he was again wounded 2 more times and killed in battle. This monument, of course, is his. For his bravery, he was awarded the rank of general, commonly known as a breveted general. A breveted officer was a title given to someone who had died in battle. So it was a posthumously awarded rank for him. But he is today known as General David Allen Russell. He was not forgotten. There was a fort named for him in the West. People out there remembered him for his Indian wars, Mexican wars. And on the coast of California, there was a battery of cannon named the Russell Battery. And that was named for General David Allen Russell. Interesting thing about that particular battery is that the cannon were made at the Watervliet Arsenal. And during World War II, the Japanese submarine came in close enough to fire a couple of shots at this battery, but did no harm whatsoever. The cannon did not respond, keeping in mind these were very old cannon, not very accurate, so they didn't bother to respond. There is a museum for him. All his papers are at William and Mary in their historic collection today. So he was a significant person. There is a book written about him by called That Splendid Soldier, but it gives you a whole story of his graduating from West Point up right through his death in the Civil War. The other unique thing about going to West Point is that Salem, ever since General John Williams, Salem men have participated, and women have participated in it seems like all the wars or engagements that we have had. A number of them going to West Point, some to the Coast Guard Academy. I think within the last 4 or 5 years we've had 2 West Pointers, a Coast Guard Academy, 2 Coast Guard Academy people now that I think about it. So we have a tradition in Salem of men and women coming to the forefront to help defend our country and our freedom. And we owe that to the men of the 123rd and to General David Allen Russell, and of course, General John Williams. So, thank you.